Hello my darlings, and welcome to this month's short books vlog where I read books that are under 200 pages. Today's theme, quietly unhinged, subtly haunted, possibly in love with a sea monster. Today we're diving into 5 books where the ghosts are metaphorical, except when they aren't. The women are spiraling, but politely, and the vibes are exquisite. Excuse my voice, I'm having difficulties once again. So without much further ado, let me tell you about the 5 books I read in order of the smallest pages to the most. So we've got The Destroyer by Tara Isabella Burton. This clocks in at 18 pages and is available on reactormag.com. Girl Boss, Gaslight, Godsmite. In this book, a narcissistic scientist creates the world's most terrifyingly perfect Messiah-coded child in her own image, because of course the child is like Barbie, but make her armed and Catholic. Her hella ambitious Dr. Frankenstein-like mother believes she is God, and she is absolutely unhinged in her quest for perfection and greatness. She says, "You're mine, only mine. Nobody else knows how to make you." The language is lush and laced with philosophical dread, but underneath the ecclesiastical vibes is a coming-of-age story for anyone who's ever had an identity crisis and mummy issues that destroy civilization in their aftermath. I don't know how many of you can relate to that one. This book was giving Thanos and Nebula dynamics meets the Book of Revelations. And can we ever be good enough in our parents' eyes? Read it if you like brown eyes, defying your mother, and burning down Rome. The next book is For He Can Creep by Siobhan Carroll. This clocks in at 30 pages. I believe this is another Tor book. He came, he clawed, he conquered Satan. The devil went down to the madhouse, but the cat was already there and pissed off. Meet Joffrey, a snarky tomcat with claws of divine justice and no time for infernal nonsense. When he's human, the poet Christopher Smart, who was a real person, so this is based on a real person and a real poem, who had a real cat named Joffrey. When said poet is institutionalized, it's up to Joffrey to stop a demon from taking over his mind. And the English literary canon. Honestly, the stakes have never been higher. And thus, a cat with main character energy and a vendetta battles Satan themselves in a Victorian asylum. For he's the only thing standing between evil and literary catastrophe. He hisses at Satan. He is the moment. Behold the power of pause and prose. This is good omens if it were narrated by a smug tabby cat with a god complex. I would follow Joffrey into a battle, into a sunbeam, into hell itself. Wherever he goes, I will follow. This book is one for the literary girlies who love a good demon possession and believe that cats are the real chosen ones. This book is hilarious, eerie, and oddly moving. The prose struts like a feline with somewhere holy to be. It's Loyal Cat versus Demon Hellspawn 18th Century Edition. It teaches you more about poetry, demonology, and cat ego than any other textbook could. Joffrey is a good cat, a bold gentleman, and a pretty fellow. So this was from Christopher Smart's poem Jubilate Agno, with specifically the section dedicated to his cat Joffrey. This was a 5-star read for me. I am obsessed. I'm utterly obsessed. It was everything. No notes, perfection, flawless. Read it if you like Milton, treats, and believe we exist in a world abandoned by God and haunted by human mediocrity. I will also say I also really enjoyed the first book, The Destroyer, but For He Can Creep, I'm going to see if there is a physical copy of this because I would love to put it on my shelf. Oh, Joffrey. The next book I picked up is Hearts in the Ground by G.V. Anderson, and this clocked in at 44 pages, and I did think it was great. Grief is a ghost story, and this one doesn't knock before entering. The novella opens up with a woman who is grieving the death of her mother, and she decides to move into a fixer-upper that is haunted by unresolved trauma, bad lighting, and one extremely dead but animated bird. I thought it was short, sharp, and emotionally devastating. The descriptive prose conjures a claustrophobic, sorrow-laden house. There are vivid scenes like the one where a rotting seagull emerges from the chimney, which also serves as a grotesque symbol of unresolved death. And then you have another in which a little boy's death echoes plays out over and over and over again. I believe that the decaying seagull and the stubborn bloodstains mirror Fiona's grief in that it is persistent, messy and not easily scrubbed away. The house itself becomes a character reflecting mourning and trauma. Hearts in the Ground is a very quiet gothic horror. It is grief soaked in salt water and rot. It is as much about the decay of love, guilt, and carer fatigue as it is about the literally dead people haunting the home. This was quite heavy. I was not expecting it to be so deep and to sort of explore the complex emotions and thoughts associated with the intense strain and burden and love of being a carer to someone who is sick, and then how their death is both bittersweet. It frees you from those obligatory backbreaking chains, but also breaks your heart and plunges you into depths of despair and loneliness. It's just a very conflicting feeling of being both relieved that you no longer have this burden of your loved one, but also being devastated that you no longer have your loved one. Read it if you like rotting birdies, lady love, and making a house your home. It's quite horror-filled and graphically descriptive. I also want to give a shout out to the cover, which I think is stunning. And then I read Mrs. Caliban by Rachel Ingalls, and this clocks in at 117 pages, and I also thought this was great. Love is real, ladies. He's 6'5", amphibious, and emotionally available. This book is about a depressed housewife who falls in love with a 6-foot-tall humanoid sea creature, think Shape of Water, who escapes from a government lab and moves into her kitchen. He's got a man's body, muscular, strong, but green, and then a frog's head, except his lips are human lips. He's also a gentleman who gets her better than her husband ever did. The husband, he's a selfish cad and disgusting philanderer. The main character in this has suffered staggering losses and is alone in her marriage. The book is tender, weird, and surprisingly sad and dark. I was not expecting the trauma that was in this book. It happens from the beginning when you find out that both of her children are dead. It's a lot about loneliness in domesticity and escapism via an amphibian affair. However, the heavy subjects like the death of children, the marital affairs, and the horrific betrayals are rife. Trigger warnings, please, guys. This also does include an adult sleeping with an underage girl. It was bomb drop after bomb drop in this one. It was incredibly dramatic. Some people might think it's a bit soap opera with the levels that it gets to, but yeah, it was a wild ride. Read it if you like avocados, secret vices, and messy people. And the last book I read for this reading vlog was Indelicacy by Amina Kane. This clocked in 176 pages, and I also thought this was great. There was not a single book that was below 4 stars for me in this reading vlog. This is about quiet quitting your marriage. You have a woman who gets everything she wants: marriage, money, a life of art, and quickly realizes she's still haunted by the desire to just write in peace. We follow Vittoria, who is a former museum cleaner turned art writer who drifts through her life and comes to the point that she's had enough of marriage. She wants to break free. But how can she without losing everything? She doesn't want to go back to her life of poverty and menial labor. The prose in this is minimal and impassive, yet it's compelling and haunting. I find it hard to describe the simplicity and yet the devourability of it. It's really about wanting more, but quietly and with great intention. It's about art and absence, longing and liberation. It's about walking out of your life in the middle of it and deciding you'd rather write vague arty thoughts in cafes than make polite conversation with your wealthy husband one more time. I would say the book is for people who do love vibes over plot and who've ever looked out a window and thought, I want beauty, silence, and freedom. There are themes of art, gender, class, agency, and creative freedom in this. I really enjoyed it. It almost felt like you were reading her diary entries. Read it if you hate March, love the ballet, and desire that paid divorcee lifestyle. To sum everything up, I thought I would do a TLDR, which stands for Too Long Didn't Read. So we've got The Destroyer by Tara Isabella Burton. Catholic lab-made baby, raised to be proof of her mother's greatness, starts questioning the vibes and then brings the holy fire. For He Can Creep by Siobhan Carroll. Devil wants to possess a poet. Cat says, not today, Satan. And claws ensue. Hearts in the Ground by G.V. Anderson. Woman moves into a hella creepy house to grieve her mum, but instead finds ghosts, guilt, and a zombie seagull. It's short, spooky, sad, and weirdly poetic. It's also sapphic. I forgot to mention that. There is a sapphic romance in this that's very sweet. Mrs. Caliban by Rachel Ingalls. A lonely housewife falls in love with a sexy, gentle sea monster who just escaped a lab. Together, they cook, cuddle, and commit crimes. And the last book is Indelicacy by Amina Kane. A woman escapes dust, marriage, and expectations to quietly vibe in art galleries and write in peace. So if you're into a book where people reclaim their lives, sometimes through art, sometimes through demonic cats, sometimes through creepy houses, sometimes through burning cities to the ground, and sometimes through forbidden monster romances, then these are your perfect 5 books. I am wearing a perfume today, and that perfume is Gucci Bloom. It opens up with a tropical Rangoon creeper and heady jasmine. There's also a fresh green tuberose as well. This literally smells like walking into a florist's shop. It's like someone wearing a silk robe to water their plants. It's giving flower core. I personally find floral scents really heavy and headache inducing, but if you love to face plant into bouquets of white flowers, then this is definitely the perfume for you. When thinking of a book to pair it with, the strongest note in this for me was the heavy jasmine, which I have outside my bedroom window and I smell at night when it's flowering. So with that in mind, I have picked Wildwood Dancing by Juliette Marillier. It has Balkan fairy tales, enchanted forests, and 5 sisters sneaking into an otherworldly realm. It's romantic, atmospheric, and brimming with moonlit gardens. I am heading out to the big design market today. My kids are going with their dad to his dad's young kids' birthday party. So I thought, okay, I've got 2-3 hours to myself. Let's do it. So it's just a massive market in the Royal Exhibition building in Carlton, which is surrounded by some of the most beautiful parks in Melbourne. And it's going to have food vendors and stalls, and I'm just going to browse and enjoy my time. So I will take you along with me to that. Hello guys, I'm back from the market. It was good. It wasn't as great as last year. I would say that the majority of the stalls, you have the food section, and then you've got textiles, art, ceramics, jewelry, aromatherapy, like candles and things like that. I say that would be the most. That would be the, sorry, the cats are distracting me. That would be the most of the stuff that was in the stalls. Yeah, I probably wouldn't go again. It was a lot of people. It was very overwhelming, and it's not an area that's easy to park in. And I did damage. I was like, don't buy much, Chanel. Chanel bought much. So I'm just going to show you what I got. So I want a dessert later on. So I got this cashew butter, sea salt, gluten and dairy-free brownie. So I was very excited when I saw that. I think my favorite purchase was this ceramic. So it's a lilac and orange. It's got a little thumb dent so you can fit your thumb in there. Really lovely. I just love that color purple. So yeah, it's a nice hug mug, which I really wanted, and it's handmade, ceramic, and she said I can put it in the dishwasher. So I'm very happy. There were so many. I did love her stall, and if I had the money, I would have bought so much stuff. I would have bought dinner plates and bowls and everything, but I thought I'll get one thing, and this is what I picked for myself. And then from this store, I got a candle. So a lot of the stuff I got is candles because I use them, I need them. You know, I like to, like I said, if I'm having people over, I want my house to smell nice. So this is the one I got. I'll just show you the box before I destroy it. So it's called Velvet Cherry. I don't know why I'm opening it when I know what it smells like. I'll show you the candle. Actually, that's why I'm opening it. Okay, so this is the candle. So it's got cherry, raspberry, blackberry, peach, macadamia, honey, vanilla, malt, biscuit. Oh, it's really nice. So that's the candle. I got some nail polishes. This is from a brand I like. It's called Hanami. So I got a hot pink, because I do have a lot of hot pink clothing, and this metallic purple. Then from Studio McKenna, I got another candle. They had these tomato leaves one, which was exactly like tomato leaves, and if you've ever grown your own tomatoes, the smell of them is pure tomato essence, but it's beautiful, it's fresh, but you couldn't buy it individually. It came in a set of 3, and the others were cucumber and apple, and I was like, oh, I don't want 3, I just want the tomato. But anyway, I got this candle, which is called Opulent Embers, and in this it's pink pepper, whiskey, coriander, rose, jasmine, patchouli, cinnamon, sandalwood, oud, amber, labdanum, tobacco, tonka bean, musk, patchouli, benzoin, vanilla, and cedar. It's just like a perfect scent for winter. That's Bluebell. Bluebell. Okay, now from Wild Aroma. So this is the bottle. So this is Sacred Wood. Oh, this is full on. So this is Palo Santo, and I think they said agar wood. So all handcrafted candles, and that's everything I bought. And then I just got a package in the mail waiting for me at the front door. Oh, this is thanks to Tom. I have a copy of The Witchstone by Henry H. Neff. So I read this for one of my Wild Ones book club reads, and I loved it. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel, but it felt like there could have been. But yes, I wanted a copy for my bookshop, even though it wasn't a 5-star. I think I gave this 4.5, 4.75. But it's one of those books that I actually would like to read again in book form, because I did read it on my e-reader. So I wanted a physical copy as well. So I've gotten that. But that's now everything for this short books reading vlog. Until next time, stay wild, star child.